This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, super. Okay, I'm going to title this one Apple's new iPhone 15, or like something like Apple's iPhone 15. But if you're listening to this, the SEO worked, and now you got tricked into listening to this. But we're going to start off with aliens, because it's tripping me out, bro. Okay, so... okay, I won't even get into the Mexican alien body thing yet. What I really want to talk about is something I just heard last night, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I would want to stop learning at this point." Okay, no, for real. Like, you know, we're with like I think the last podcast we were talking about like what potentially could the truth be that they're hiding from everyone that you don't want to share, right, with the public.
Sure.
Like, what could that possibly be? Could it be something so crazy that that you'd want to stop learning? And I was listening to Tom DeLonge talk about aliens on the Steve-O podcast last night.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, I think this is where I will jump off. If it turns out to be true, I actually don't want to know that, and we're just gonna go back. Like, this is the level of reality I can accept. Potentially, I mean, maybe I want to learn more. I don't know. I'll see how you feel about this. So, the thing he was saying. So, okay, can we both agree that it's undeniable that there are unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, across the globe?
Yeah.
Right. And he was saying that he recently received. This is a few months ago when the interview came out, and he was saying that there's been all of these sightings near water. Okay. And like recently, like hundreds and almost like thousands of sightings, right? Not from people, from radar, from like military radar. So this all happened when I keep forgetting this guy's name. Not David Grush. I wrote it down. I forgot the guy. So he's on the Merge podcast. So he started the Merge podcast, and it's the guy that I was saying, it's a nonprofit. He's looking at this from like an aerial safety issue. Like, what are these UAP? Because we don't want to hit them and kill someone, right? So he's going through like the route of logical reality in order to figure out this whole issue. Okay. What that guy was saying was that as soon as we upped our sensors, we started seeing these things every day. So before that, like, because everyone's like, oh, why did it increase in increase in our awareness, and like how come it's all of a sudden showing up? He's like, no, they could have been here the whole time. It's just we didn't have the sensors to detect them, but now we've upped our sensors and we could suddenly spot them. He said it was like night and day. As soon as they flipped on the radar, they're like, what are all of these? Okay. And then, but it's been like hushed within the government. Like, we don't talk about those things. So basically it's like every fighter pilot, because I went back to listen to Commander Fravor on Joe Rogan, and what he was saying is there's different versions of these UAPs, and one that they see every day is it looks like a clear beach ball with a cube inside.
Okay.
That's his descriptor, right? And the Tic Tac that he saw, he's like, it's sort of like a submarine, but no like top or bottom. It's like, it's just like a Tic Tac, like a submarine, you know, like a submarine with no like porthole or whatever. And that's the one he chased. When I listened to the podcast, so he was flying, right? And it was clear blue water over the sea. And then they saw like if you see rocks over an ocean, you'll see water breaking, right? Like if you go to the beach, you'll see like water breaking over something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if there's a rock, like all right, so waves. So they didn't even see the Tic Tac at first. They saw the water breaking, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird," because it's like all clear, and then there's something there
Right.
that
Right.
the
Right.
water's
Right.
breaking. So they're like, "All right, let's check that out."
Mm-hmm.
As they went back, they saw the Tic Tac over top, and then what he hypothesizes is like it's trying to land on the thing that's under the water.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then so him and his team, they have eyes on, like physical eyes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not even radar. They turn on the radar, but they have like eyes on, and they're like, okay, let's go chase this thing. They don't know what it is. They're like, okay, is it like a helicopter? They go closer, like, okay, no, it's not. So as he goes down to like intercept it, it suddenly turns towards him and flies up to meet him. And then this is when they're doing like this spiral against each other, they're like imagine a circle, and then you're like going around the circle trying to see each other. And then what he said is he's like, okay, I'm gonna cut across the circle to like if you're going in a circle, cut across to like meet you where you're at, right? So I could see you. And then as he was doing that, it like darted towards him and then bolted off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, but with the speed we're going during doing this, if it was like even a little bit faster, you'd still see it trail off, right? Because you're still matching speed, right? And you're like, okay, it's slowly going away. He's like, we would have at least seen it for a minute, like as it's bolting off.
Okay.
Right. But he's like, it's almost instantaneously, you couldn't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like it just like he's like, that's just impossible speed, so we cannot keep up with. And then 60 miles later, 60 miles towards where they're going to meet up. It's like the squadron, they have the meeting point, right? 60 miles, it's 60 miles away. Then all of a sudden they get radio in, hey, this Tic Tac's at your rally point.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? It was like 3 minutes later, but it could have been instantaneous, but it takes 3 minutes for the radar to like reload because it makes a full circle or something like that.
Yeah.
It takes time, right? So they got alerted 3 minutes later, like this thing's at your rally point now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a very credible pilot. Okay, he's the guy that went in Congress, the dude with white hair glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can we deny this? Right? It's almost like if they're all saying it, and then this guy's like directing counter, and then I listened to another podcast, and what they're saying is these have been reported since like World War II, like all the time. Right, like that they're seeing objects go into water, and even Christopher Columbus, he reported a UAP going into water. Although like that was like so long ago, what they're saying is you can't really, associate that with the UAP we're seeing. But there's a lot of instances related to water. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, can we have that as a basis? Right? Like we both agree that there's something going on. We don't know what it is. No country knows what it is. Do you think it's like maybe tech that's not like supported?
Yeah, maybe it's like
we need a base.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna like build from there.
Okay, it could be.
I'm saying, like,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is it like unclassified stuff, right?
But right. So what he said. Okay. So what he said was like this was in 2004. If they had the technology, it's like 20 years later, right? We're in 2023. If they had the technology at 2024, wouldn't you think that it would have been released at least 20 years later, or like some variation of it? Because he's like, if we look at SpaceX, which is like the epitome of like achievement, that the way they're shooting things, it's still the old school way, right? You're like shooting these rockets with like fire. It's so archaic. It's like, why, if we have the capability to like blip as fast as they do, wouldn't we have something better than just like fire rockets?
Well, I don't know. Sure. I don't know.
But logically speaking, like it's 20 years. Like, wouldn't you have a better, like, why are we still using like rockets? If this thing is like classified tech that has no propulsion system that they can see, wouldn't you just slowly release it? Like that'd be a game changer. You'd be like the most billion-dollar company in the world Like, why would you sleep on that? Think about AI. We drop that right away,
Hmm.
right? So I'm ruling out classified tech.
Okay.
Or do you, like, no, you have a other point where you're like, actually, I could see how it would be this way.
Well,
Like what?
I don't know what it is.
Like
If
what?
it like could be
No,
classified,
because you
right?
said right, totally. But like using that logic of like it's been 20 years, wouldn't we see some derivation of that
Well,
tech
I would have
being
to look
used as
at. I would have to
propulsion?
then look at like, have there been tech that it didn't really get out to the public till like 20 years later, right? That's what you'd have to show, I guess.
Yeah, but like the stealth bomber was examples of it. Like the military's been working on that for a while, but then
Yeah, but I
it
mean,
like it eventually did get released.
yeah, of course, yeah, but like, is 20 years the thing, or is like 50 years a span? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, maybe. So you're saying like 30 more years and then we'll have these
Maybe.
gravity propelled systems. Okay, maybe theoretically. Okay. I I don't think it like
That's
if
what I'm
you were
saying. Well,
sitting on
all I'm
the
saying is like you'd have to add like, so here's where they designed computers back in World War II, but didn't really get to personal computers till this many years later, right? Like
but
when
like what was the difference?
that's what
Like
I'm
I don't know
saying.
what
Well, World War
like
II,
how many
like if
years.
it was World War II, um, like from that 1940s or whatever till like when it
In
become
1993.
yeah, like when it become actually more usable in like normal public, I
No,
would
no, no,
say.
no, but wait, no, no, but the internet in World War II was not the same.
No,
It
no, no.
was
I'm not talking
it
about
was
internet.
more. You said internet.
No, no, computer.
Oh, computer. Okay. So, but the computer in that World War II time, the Turing computer, right?
Sure.
That was like a basic model,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And now look how far we've come.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're in 2004, you have that crazy amount of tech, you would have had something even better now within that span.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's not that it. So you're saying so if this was
No, no.
classified
I'm saying
tech.
like you'd have to compare it to something like that, right? Like is
No, no, I no,
yeah.
no, I know what you're saying about the timeline, but I'm saying at that time it wasn't commercially viable. You couldn't use it, right? So it was a rudimentary version of like nobody could afford a giant computer inside their house
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
because right, because the World War II one was huge,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if this like let's call this like the Model T version, like the old school version. So the Tic Tac is the old school version. So what they have now is going to be even more insane. Is that
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying?
Maybe, yeah.
Because it has to evolve, right? But then within that time, we wouldn't see like iterations come from that thing. I'm thinking most about like energy and propulsion. Because what they're saying, what the fighter pilot was saying, is it will hover in one place for 3 hours. They'll literally track it for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is insane. So at 80,000 feet is where the Earth is at curvature, right? We fly at like what 10,000 feet or something like that,
Something like that, I think.
right? Yeah, yeah. So they're tracking it at 80,000 feet. It'll fly down. It'll stay in that one spot for 3 hours, and then at the 3 hour mark, it'll fly back up to 80,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
This is a common occurrence happening all over the ocean. And they're literally tracking it.
Okay.
Like their radars are track. Like what is that? Okay, so energy and propulsion. So they have nothing. So he was saying that with their fighter like jets, the fastest speed, if at the fastest speed, they couldn't match it, and it can only run for an hour and a half
Okay.
maximum time
Mm-hmm.
because of gas, right? So energy consumption.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So if there was some tech that allowed you to hover in place without being affected by weather for 3 hours, like that's an energy source that we could use
Mm-hmm.
across the world, right?
Sure.
Instead of like solar or like nuclear, like what is that thing that you're using that's allowing you to have so much energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So within the 20-year span of when they first saw the Tic Tac in 2004 till now, like we haven't changed at all in terms of energy. We're still using we're trying green energy,
Sure.
solar, nuclear. You know what I mean? So it's like, so you don't think that the benefits of that craft would have slowly spilled out within the 20-year span? Like, hey guys, we're like testing this thing out now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have heard about it.
Sure.
You agree, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, but maybe. Or so what is the point? No, because I'm like, because if there is a point here that you viably see, and you're not just building like contention for contention's sake, like I really want to know, because I'm like, what is this thing?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, logically, I don't know. I don't know. You're all reporting it.
You're all
If you see a different side of it, like, tell me, because I'm like, what is that thing, bro?
I think the thing is, like, we got to show the evidence of this thing, right?
Which is the disclosure, which is happening right now, and I'm like, okay, now we're gonna hear about it, and that's freaky as well. Hence why.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where it has to come out. Like, of course you may have seen it, you're talking about it, but you still have to show the evidence. That's the only way to really prove what you're showing or what you're saying is real.
Facts. No.
Yeah,
for sure. And it could all just be black ops. It could, because even the fighter pilot David Fravor, he was saying what he used to do with his friends is in their fighter jet thing, they would be in a canyon, and with their night vision goggles, they could see so far. And like, if there's a campsite, what they'll do is like, oh, UFO time. So they'll like fly up to the thing, turn on their like bottom lights, and then shoot forward so that you see the bottom lights, and then they'll turn their bottom lights off, and then like, haha, they're gonna report it as a UFO because they see these random lights in the sky. And they would do this all the time just to make themselves laugh. Right? So they could tell what fake UFO reports are, right? They're like, oh, that was actually me, right? So if it's black ops, maybe they're doing the same thing to these fighter pilots. So like, haha, let's just play a little tic-tac game and like mess with your head. So potentially, you're right. There could be black ops, and we'll see now with the disclosure what's going on with that. Okay. But let's say it's not let's say it's not technology of this earth. Okay.
Sure.
Or like it's not human made.
Okay.
Because that's what they're saying. It's like, they might be outer space, they might be from here. We don't know. So okay, so we can agree. So now we've agreed that there is something going on. There are these crafts. We don't know what they are. We can agree upon that. That these people are making it up.
Making it up? I don't.
Yeah, making up the sightings. Like, you know, people are like they're like, oh, that's just like dust on your radar, or like that's just a radar blip, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
They're just making up something. Right. So we can agree that there's something going on, and they're not making up this story, and they're not confused about their radar.
In the sake that they're telling the truth. Okay, sure.
That's what I mean. Like, we don't know what they are, but there is something going on.
Okay.
Can we agree on that? Like, that there's something going on?
No, they're not. But I said that we would need to agree on evidence, right? Like, if it's just what he's saying.
No, but there's so much evidence of like radar stuff, footage, pilot, like reports.
Okay.
It's like, so they're all lying?
No, that's not what they're saying. I think NASA had something earlier this week that they had a news conference UAPs? About the study of the UAPs. They
did? And what did it say?
Well, they sent out a written report, but they did also have a press thing, but what they're saying is they have broken down some of the footage, not all the footages, of course, whatever they've released, but they were talking about whatever is available as unclassified, right?
Yeah, like the David Fravor one, the Tic Tac. They talked about that one?
I don't know if they talk about that specific one. There is a report on it if you look it up. They explain some of them. I don't know how many they explain. I have the thing, like the website up. I haven't read through it all. A lot of them are
debunked. No, but a lot of them are debunked too, though. Like, I want them to explain the one that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, so
Because
they're
the,
talking about it
the,
from the science perspective, where it's like where they're trying to get the evidence, right?
no, totally, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
So like,
But
I believe there was one like the spear thing, like over, was it like a desert place? I don't know if you remember, like some Middle East country or
I don't know.
something.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Baghdad
Yeah.
Phantom.
Yeah. So that one they
Yeah,
haven't been able to explain, but
okay,
they
yes, exactly.
explained some other ones that were.
Okay,
Uh,
so but this is a tactic though. This is a tactic where you'll release false information, true debunked information amidst other information. So in the UFO community, like Jeremy Corbell, they're like, we know which ones are fake. So NASA being like, well, these are all fake. So then your mind goes, oh, they're all fake then. But it's like, no, no, go to the ones that we're all agreeing that we don't know what this is. Study those ones. You know what I mean? Because we already know that those are fake.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
Jeremy Corbell's like, that's not real. Like, why are you telling me it's not real? We already knew it's not real. Tell me the ones that we can't identify.
Yeah, so they probably listed those ones that they haven't, because it's also like minimal evidence, so they can't really go on um,
Yeah, totally, totally, totally.
uh,
And
to be able to find out what these things are, right? So sometimes,
for sure, for sure.
and some things they
For
can't
sure, for
talk
sure.
about because it's unclassified.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And the reason why, so if people are like, well, how come they don't just release the radar footage? It's like, but then you're going to admit where you're spying, and your enemies will know where you're
Exactly,
spying.
that's also part of
That's why you
the
can't.
classified or unclassified
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
it's not like we don't want to not tell you about UFOs, but it's like if we tell you where we're pointing our satellites, our enemies will know where we're pointing our satellites to. So I totally get why it's classified. Makes sense.
they can only talk
But
about
like
they can only talk about unclassified.
unclassified.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, totally. Because like the Tic Tac one was over training grounds, so it's like, oh, we knew you trained there, so it's like totally cool, you know. But if you're like, hey, we're actually in territory that we're not supposed to be in,
yeah,
you know, that's that's pretty bad. You don't want to admit that. Um, but okay, so with all this evidence and all this stuff, like with the NASA one, like I take that with a grain of salt because it's like we do know some are like the majority of them are um, debunkable. Like that's not real. But NASA putting that out, it's like, yeah, you're just like you're you're trying to like propagandize it, right? Like you're like, well, these are a bunch of these are not real, so it's all not real. It's like let's focus on the ones that are real, but we don't know what they are. That's my point of view on it, and that's also the UFO community's on it. It's like don't feed me like
no, I
information that
think they're going
we
through
know is
the
not real.
information that uh you can take a look at it and see. I don't know which ones are real,
Okay,
which ones are
cool.
fake, right? I don't know. People would know that.
I don't know either. The only two that I know that are super real are the Baghdad Phantom and the Tic Tac one. And then I don't know about the radar ones because they haven't come out, but they're saying like literally every single day, all the pilots are seeing them, and they've been tracking. Like the Tic Tac one, that had been tracked for 2 weeks before it even like. So basically, what was happening is they were on a test flight, David Fravor and his team, and then the submarine or whatever was tracking these things for 2 weeks going up and down from the sky. Like they'd be like 80,000 feet, drop down, um, like stay there for 3 hours, fly back up. Okay. And then they were like, hey, can you check this out? Because we've been seeing it for 2 weeks. Right. And that's when he got in. He wasn't just like passing by.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They like said, hey, we need a real world eyes on this thing. And they're like, check out this vicinity, see what's going on. And that's when he saw the thing breaking over water. They didn't even see the Tic Tac, right? And that's where the story unfolds. But it's not that like this was a random encounter, is what the point is here. It's like, no, we've been tracking this for literally 2 weeks, and
Right.
now we want eyes on.
So we have footage of that,
So, what do you mean? Footage of them
of that thing.
tracking it for?
Yeah, if
No,
it always
what do you mean?
happens.
The Tic Tac? The
Yeah,
Tic Tac?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's online. You can watch they do declassify that video. It's like the famous one where it's like it was on New York Times. That's why it exploded on. This is why the whole UAP thing started from that 2004 incident. It got released in 2014. So like they
Hmm.
had kept it under wraps, and then Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 and no, not Jeremy. He said he wasn't going to be a part of this, but Tom DeLonge was instrumental in getting that on the New York Times because he knew the whole story and he was just like pushing it behind the scenes to like make it to the paper. And then once that came out in 2014, that's when everyone took it seriously. Like that's when this whole disclosure thing started happening. Because like, what is this thing that we have no idea about?
Right.
Right. So, yeah, you can watch that online, and it's like the actual footage of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But not like a iPhone camera though. It's like it's using their sensors. They were like tracking it with their computer, and then they're looking at it with their eyes. Yeah. Okay. All right. I digress. So now that we've agreed that there's something going on, I was listening to the Tom DeLonge and Steve-O podcast, and I was tripping out because I was like, wait a minute, this. So basically, what he said was you have to look at it as a bigger story.
Okay.
And this is what freaking me out. So everyone's been like, oh yeah, what are these UAPs, right? Why are they a bunch of different types, whatever. But it's like, but what's the bigger story here? Who created them? What are they doing with them? Why are they here?
Okay.
Right? So like we're all focusing on like, are these things real? Okay, if we can accept why they're real, that they're real. Now the real question is, what are they doing here?
Sure.
And where do we fit in the storyline? And that's what was tripping me out because he went through different UFO theories that were starting to make sense. He's like, so he was saying some stuff that I was like, dude, this sounds so ridiculous. It could be true. But the freaky part is I won't know if it's true because he's like, hey, let's just hypothesize here. But he's saying it like sarcastically, as if what he's about to say is true. But he's like, well, I'm just hypothesizing, everyone.
Right.
But we know, but we know that he's been in these meetings. These CIA people have been like giving him information, right? But remember Stephen Greer, the guy who made that documentary, the
On
Close
something?
Encounters of the Fifth Time, unacknowledged. So basically, Tom DeLonge was studying under Stephen Greer, and then they had a falling out, and then Stephen Greer said that the CIA is using Tom DeLonge as a patsy. They're giving him fake information to like manipulate him. And that's probably why when I listen to his stuff, I'm like, this sounds so ridiculous, but I don't know what's true and fake. Because even Bob Lazar too, when he was joining Area 51, what he was saying was that they made him read all these reports, right? And as he was reading, he's like, this sounds so ridiculous. But what the theory was, like what he assumed is if I started telling people, they would know who the leak is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you give different stories to different people, you're like, oh, we told this guy this story. So he's the leak, right? So now I'm going to go through some of the theories. And if these are true, I was like, okay, this is where I'd want to stop the game because it's just too much for my brain. So one thing was, you know how they theorized that the world or our universe was started because of gravity?
Okay.
So like, okay, it's like the size of a pin. This is real science. So like the Big Bang Theory, it was the size of a pin. The gravity got the head of the pin, and then the gravity got too strong, and then it exploded, and we got the universe. And then from then on, it's been expanding, right? Through gravity. Okay. So he was saying, when you look at a star in the sky, that's not from our time. That's from the time that we see it. Right. But in their time, it's like 10,000 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what he's saying is that time is sort of like light. It's just stretched.
Okay. Yeah.
Which makes total sense, right? Like gravity is actually propelling time. Right? I'll just mute my phone. Gravity is pushing time forward or light forward, and that's creating like a stretch of time. And that actually makes sense with spirituality, because what we say is the infinite moment of now. But of course it's the infinite moment of now if like if your consciousness doesn't change. Like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm 35 but I feel like I'm 10. That's because your mind doesn't change, your consciousness doesn't change, but the physical surroundings change because of the stretching of time. Like if you're listening to this on Apple or like Spotify or whatever, check it out on YouTube. I'm doing hand motions. So like, time is pushing everything forward, which is like physical reality, but our mind stays centered no matter what. Like the world changes, but our mind is stationary, right?
Right.
And that's Prakriti Prashua in yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So like Prashua is like the consciousness, it's independent of time, and Prakriti is change, nature. It's always changing.
Okay.
Okay. So what he was saying is that if you can harness gravity as an energy source, you can transfer through moments in time.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually makes sense, because if it's just gravity that's pushing time forward, if you can manipulate gravity, why can't you just jump to different points in time?
Right. Okay.
Like you could follow that logic. I'm not saying how it's done. I'm just saying like logically that actually makes sense.
Yeah. If
Do you
that's
agree?
if those are connected.
If,
Yeah.
if that's the case, yeah. If that's
Yeah,
the case,
yeah.
we're not saying if it's real or not. I'm just saying like these are all
Sure,
theories.
sure.
But like, okay, I can see how logically that would make sense.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
you're just like you're just reversing gravity to a different point in time, and that's what time travel technically could be,
Mhm.
right? So what he was saying is that, like, what if they're like there's no evidence that shows us they're from a different planet? Is what Tom was saying. So what if they're from here, just on a different timeline, different frequency,
Right.
and they're blipping in and out of our existence to see what's going on? Like, like the time traveler theory?
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like, maybe they're us from the future coming back to like warn us about something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, if that's true, how far does that rabbit hole go in terms of time? And that's kind of like, okay, like if let's say they came out with that and they're like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we can blip any point in time. I'd be like, okay, this is like too heavy for me now. I'm cool in my salaried life, live in this apartment. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, because like, now what?
Right.
Now what from that? Can I meet my ancestor? What does time really mean? What does reality really mean? And maybe that's what it is, where they're like, we can't give you the truth about what these UFOs are, UAPs are, because if you knew, it would just break your reality.
Right. Yeah, and if
Because
that's
then
if
what does it
that's
all
true-
freaking mean now?
If it's true, yeah, like how many, even though like there's rules about time, like time travel, right? Like don't meet yourself, or like
Yeah.
you don't know the butterfly effect of it, right? So, but would people ever listen to those rules? Like, would a person follow that if
exactly.
that was true, right? So, I don't think people would.
Right? We would just dismantle
I
our
think
reality.
It would potentially become chaos, and just
So,
yeah,
right? Is that where we're headed? And that's why they don't want to tell us, like, hey guys, we can time travel.
maybe, yeah. If that's the case, yeah,
Because,
that makes sense.
like that is actually pretty heavy. Because like on the George Knapp, Joe Rogan, Jeremy Corbell podcast, one thing he said is like we all want the truth, but can you handle the truth? Right? And it's like, when I heard Tom say that, I was like, I've never thought of time like that. That it's just a gravitational wave. Because it is literally light pushing forward. That's why you can see stars in the sky from like you see a star, you're like, actually that's 1,000 years in the past.
Yeah.
You're like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's like, no, it logically makes sense. It's because light is pushed forward by gravity. So if you can harness gravity, which is what they're saying, they're literally saying these crafts are powered by gravity. So, and then Bob Lazar, like, if you can harness gravity, you can like do anything. You can time travel, you can create force fields, you can like go, through different atmospheres at will.
Right.
And it's all starting to, and this is why when I was watching, I was like, wait, if you read all this stuff, it's all starting to click. It's like, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And all the yogis, the spiritual people, were all talking about this too. It's like Prakriti Prashua. It's like, why is there this thing in our minds that is independent of time?
Right.
Like, literally, I'm getting older. My physical body around me is getting older, but my mind stays the same. My consciousness stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only thing that's independent of time. Okay, here's another one that tripped me out. Speaking of consciousness, So what are we? Steve-O brought this up, and I was like, that actually makes total sense too. So if we are the infinite mind of God, so if we are like consciousness, not like a physical, not like God, you know, like with
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
beard,
yeah,
and, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
like
no.
what we call God. If we are just like consciousness, right? So Tom brought this up actually first. He's like, life I've realized is a duality, and I was like, yeah, that's Taoism, bro. That's what I subscribe to. It's all yin yang, right? And he was like, they've been saying this for a while. And then Steve-O was like, if if and you know like in yoga they say like we're all one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've heard that, right? So if we're all one and there's no duality, then you have like God or whatever it is, like experiencing nothing. Because you need the opposite to experience something,
Yeah,
right? Like how would you know what happiness is without sadness?
sure.
You need its mirrored opposite in order to say what that thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this is heavy. How do you know what heavy is? Because I know what light feels
Right.
like lightweight, right? So you need its opposite. So what Steve-O was saying is that one theory is that the universality, like the oneness, decided to create its opposite in order to experience something,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And from that duality created everything else. The opposite created something.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how the universality, this consciousness, this like, because like remember the consciousness is independent of time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
This consciousness, this thing that we really are, this conscious being, is the universe experiencing itself, which is what all the freaking spiritual texts have been saying. Like, you are the universe realizing itself. You are the universe, like, actualizing its reality. And it's like, spirituality will say that. But then when I heard that from this podcast, I was like, actually, that actually makes sense too. Because, like, what if you found out that we are literally just this hive mind, this consciousness? Because we both have consciousness,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
things have consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Athena is consciously aware of
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So if that's all we are, and it was created, and that thing created the opposite in order to experience life, because it
Mm-hmm.
was bored. Because if you have nothing, if you have no opposite, you have nothing else. Like, you have no experience.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're following me?
Mm-hmm.
So, so then, what if you found out that's what we all are? We're all an infant. Like, you can't die. We are immortal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we are, because if you died, you just return back. Your consciousness would just return back to the universal consciousness,
Right.
which is what Avatar was saying too. Remember, like the tree of, you would just go back to the tree.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And you're like, bro, if that's what we are we literally playing? Like,
Or it's
remember
like it
how
can
I've been
work
saying,
with reincarnation too, right? It's just you're
yeah,
going,
but
you're
that's what he's
like, yeah,
saying.
we might not be on
That's,
this planet; it'll be on another planet. That's another thing with the star
yep,
seed or
that
whatever, right? So
Starseed,
that's
Starseed. Yeah, that's what Tom was saying too. He's like, we are infinite, and that's, we are immortal, and that's what reincarnation is. We just keep, like, the consciousness that we have is independent of time. Our bodies will die, but it'll just morph into another thing. Or
hmm
no, it won't morph. We're already a part of that thing.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we
yeah,
are,
yeah.
like,
Okay.
both of our consciousness is that thing. We're
hmm
all pulling from the same level of consciousness, except like physically experienced.
hmm
But it created, because it was bored, or like not bored. Well, I guess bored. We could say it's bored because it has nothing. Like, if you had no opposite, you would have nothing.
Right.
Like, literally, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, you wouldn't know what something is without the opposite.
hmm
So that's why it had to create the opposite. It created Taoism, duality,
hmm
in order to experience life. And we are just this interplay. Like, quite literally, my life is a video game. Like, that idea of like, what if we're just aliens? Like, people say it all the time. Like, what if we're just plugged into the Matrix and we're just playing this video game, and then when we die, we just wake up from the video game?
Right.
It's like, that actually quite literally be what's going on.
hmm
So now, if that's true, so then how does that play into our reality? Would we all freak out again? Like, if they admitted, actually, this is what's really going on, you know, would we unravel? Like, all of these things are making me like, oh yeah, we can't handle that.
Yeah, I don't think people. Uh,
Because what do we do in video games, bro? Go around killing, do whatever you
sure.
want.
Right.
would we have total anarchy and chaos? It's like, oh, we're not going to die anyways. Kill.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it could be
It
used
would,
against. Yeah, it could be used like that. Yeah, sure.
and maybe that's the fear. That's why it's like, oh, we can't actually tell you that we're a part of this universal consciousness.
Hmm.
It sounds ridiculous, but it's tied into the UAP thing. So,
Right.
like, because of the time thing, like the
Yeah,
time
yeah, yeah, yeah,
warping,
yeah, yeah.
like it's not like these UAPs aren't independent of this time reality thing, but like if they're tapping into
You jump in through
the
time. Yeah, 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 yeah.
if they're jumping through time, so then what does that mean about our reality? Like, oh, okay, so we're a conscious being. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
tied in to that narrative, and it's like, if that's true, that's really heavy, man. Because I mean, like, I play my game, my video game of life like that, but I don't know how other people would take that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think it depends on your own individual self. If you're getting to that point, I don't see why you would like. It wouldn't be something you'd tell people unless you really know them.
Right? And what happens if you didn't like the place you are in the video game?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna bring this example up because it's the most salient example for me. But like one of our friends who um like passed away of his own hand. I don't know how to say that
Oh, sure.
politely,
Yeah.
but like you know what I mean. But like, and every time I hear that story, I was like, yeah, he knew in the video game of life. He's like, oh, I'm done because he was going in and out of jail. He's like, I literally can't do anything here.
Mhm.
Like I have no job. I can't get a job. I'm like, it's too tough. I'm like addicted.
Right.
And then boom. So if we knew that life was a video game, then it didn't matter if we died because we're infinitely connected to this universal consciousness. And remember, I always reference it like he just reset the video game. He's like, cool, like let's play again.
Hmm.
But if this was true, how many more people would just
Right.
replay?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? It
Hmm.
would totally destroy the way we're like live. You're like this game sucks. Let me start again. For real though,
No,
right?
it's true. Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's why they want to tell us what's really going on.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one, and this one tripped me out hard. So yeah, see all these things are like I don't even know if I want to know this. Like, you know. So okay, here's one that Tom said. I was like, okay. So I'm gonna tell you the way it was phrased because it sounds so ridiculous. And then I'm gonna tell you the logic, and you're gonna be like, ah, that actually makes sense. So what they think is UFOs might be feeding off of our emotion. Sounds ridiculous.
Sure.
Like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So he likened it to this. What if, like a fly, has our brains are what's giving us emotion,
Hmm.
right? So what if a fly evolved to the point that it could create technology to travel throughout space and time? And then it happened upon this planet and was like, what is this thing emotion? And then they started studying emotion.
Hmm.
So that's what the abductions are. Them like stealing people to analyze us. Because what is the one thing we have that they don't have is emotion. And they're like, wait, if I cut into him, he starts feeling fear. Whoa, what is that? Oh, it's love. Oh, what is that?
Hmm.
You know, it could be like they want to manufacture it for ourselves. Or what he said too is it might not be even a fly. What if it's AI? Because AI has no emotion. Like robots have no emotion.
Right.
So they came here and they're like studying us to be like, I want that thing. How do I reverse engineer that thing?
Hmm.
And they're like, that's what the abductions are. They'll abduct us, figure out some stuff, send us back.
Sure. Right.
Could be. And what if that's the thing? And it's like that's pretty trippy too. It's like you were like cattle for them, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if you found out that you were just food for, or like a science experiment for another alien thing. Well, one, how powerless do we feel? And two, what is the galactic empire that we are not privy to? Because I think of Dune. Remember, like Dune, they were like going from planet to planet, like, oh, we're going to this planet to get some spice, and then we're
Yeah.
going to go to like this other planet with like warriors and stuff. What if we are just a planet within a whole ecosystem of planets?
Hmm. Right.
Like, how would you feel then? It's like you're actually powerless. Like those like first world problems that you think you have don't matter.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, there's this thing governing over you, you know? Like that's way bigger than your silly society.
Right.
Like, how would we feel about that? Like, how would you feel about that?
Something bigger than us?
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I'm actually way more insignificant than I thought I was. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's really what, like, it hit me last night, where it's like, it's not that these things are here and we want to figure out what it is. Like for me, I was just like, oh, what is this thing, right? But it's like Pandora's box, bro. If you open this door, it's like the real question is, why is it here? It's not, is it here anymore? It's, why is it here?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the freakiest part, because we don't know. And we all think we want to know. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're going to save us, blah, blah, blah. It's like, or you just find out a bunch of the things that we were just talking about, and it's like, oh, I actually didn't want to know that.
Right.
You know?
Well, we'll only know when we do find out.
True. Yeah, totally. Or they'll just keep it under wraps because we might not be able, like, what do you think? Do you think disclosure is good? Because now I'm kind of on the fence. I'm like, I actually don't know if you should tell people. Because even I'm freaking out. I'm like, bro, I read the JFK. Like, what is going on? You know, like the MK Ultra, Operation Paperclip. You're like, wait, that's going on? That's so freaky. And that was already messing with my head. So then if I delve deeper into this thing, and you find out exactly what these things are. It's like, oh, that's heavy. Because I'm walking around like, bro, you don't even know.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine that information. You're like, you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's like make you go crazy. I don't know.
It
Thoughts?
could. I guess it could, but I would probably rather know.
You'd want to know like what the thing is, but what would you do with the information too?
Depends on what you can do with it. That's the thing, right? So, if the
But, like,
information
no, but
doesn't
what if-
end up hurting anything, so I don't see it.
But then what does that do to your sense of self?
It depends on how. I guess
You know what I mean? Like,
I do. I understand
like,
what you're saying. Yeah, and in the general public, I get that. I think it just depends on the individual how, like, how level-minded they are. I guess with understanding this
but
information.
that's what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. So it's like the information's out there. Maybe this is how it is. It should be like this. It's like we'll give you the information, but you have to do the due diligence of reading it.
No, oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm
there's
saying?
probably
So,
a lot of it's like that. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
right, like the JFK book, right? It seems so obvious to me that he was assassinated for specific reasons, right? But now you go into general life with that information,
Mm-hmm.
you seem like a weirdo.
Right.
Tom DeLong to me when I was watching that podcast, I was like, bro, you seem like a weirdo. But then I was like, let me just listen to what you're saying, because some of it might make sense. And two, other people are taking you credibly serious. So it's like, okay, so you know something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like within all this like weird talk that you're talking about, there's something. Oh, wait, no, hold on, wait. I forgot to mention this. The whole stealing of emotions thing, it's been here forever, and like throughout time, theoretically. And what he's saying is that's what we're mistaking the devil for. So when you hear about like angels and demons that want to steal your soul, or like demons and the devil that want to steal your soul, it's really just like aliens being like, I want to study you.
Right.
And then we just don't know what to call them. Like, come from the sky. These things come from the sky, and they're like tampering with us, et cetera, et cetera. Which actually kind of makes sense. It's like, because why do all biblical stories talk about something that comes from the sky down to earth? I thought it was a metaphor. But what if it's not a metaphor? What if it's like a literal interpretation? They just don't know how to explain it.
Right.
You know? Like what if it's like a plane? Like, if you were like an Aztec person now and you saw a plane, you're like, what the hell is that? It's something that came from the sky and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned into myth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if that's true, then that would just unweave religion for us.
Yeah.
Right? You'd be like, actually, there's no such thing as the devil. It's these aliens that came down, and we just create stories about them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's another thing that could totally unravel society, because a lot of people base their lives on religion.
Yeah.
So if you got told like, actually, your religion's fake and it's all about aliens. Like, what's that, bro? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all of these things are just like almost too heavy. It, like, I feel like, okay, you would want to know, but you'd ignore it. You'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what's going on. But I'm not gonna let that affect the way I'm doing my life. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it depends
what
on
you're
what you
saying,
can
right?
control. Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, is
Yeah,
it
right.
really changing the world for, you know what I mean? Yeah, I guess in that sense.
Totally. And that's how you're interpreting it. For me, it's like I hear that and I'm like, what is going on? Because I really want to learn stuff, but maybe there's some stuff I don't want to learn.
Hmm.
And you can't unknow what you know. Because it shapes,
Sure.
because like when you know something, it shapes your,
Yeah.
like as a simple example, like if you know you turn on the stove and it's hot, you've touched it before, you're like, oh dude, that's hot. So you're
Hmm.
just gonna avoid touching the stove. But people who don't know, it's like they're gonna touch the stove and keep burning themselves. So it's like when you know something, it automatically shapes your behavior. I
Yeah.
will not touch that stove because I know it's hot,
Right.
right? So that's what I mean. Like you can't unknow what you know.
Sure.
So it's like if I know what's really going on, and I know that that's going to shape my behavior going forward, do I really want to know?
That's what I'm saying. That's about understanding yourself. What level can you
Right.
get to? Yeah.
Totally. And I'm seeing in myself, I'm like, I don't know how this will shape my behavior. Like, let's say things get super bad, like around me, and I'm already nihilistic already, right? So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna reset this video game. Dude,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean? You're
Right.
like,
Right.
bro, you just
You
killed
don't know.
yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know because I don't know what I'll do with that information.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, what about other people? So it's like, and it's like that's why I feel like I'm hitting the end of this because I'm like, I just I don't know what I would do with that because that will shape my behavior going forward. Because as I know, all knowledge does, right?
Sure. But I don't know if
What
we're
do I?
gonna. I really feel like we're not gonna get to that point. We're not gonna know anything about this thing. If, like, what I mean in that direction, what you're saying, what Tom DeLonge is saying, I don't think we're gonna get to that point.
Yeah, right. Like there's no way. Well, I mean, that's probably why there's no way it'll happen because they
Hmm.
know that this could happen.
Yeah.
Like
Probably.
that's why when George Knapp, because that was my question as soon as I heard it, him saying that on the podcast, like, what is the big secret that they don't want people to know? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what could that be? Like, there's no way. There's nothing that you could tell me that wouldn't affect me. And
Hmm.
I saw the Tom DeLonge podcast. It's like these are really heavy theories, and if one of them is true, that's a problem.
Right.
Not a problem, but like that will shape my decision making going forward.
Right. I
But we
also
all do it though,
then,
right?
yeah, but like to talk about this, it just then what you said earlier with was Stephen Greer.
Yeah, Stephen Greer. Oh, it's him saying that he's a plant from the CIA. They
Right.
gave him
Right.
fake
Right.
information.
But
Could
then
be too. Could be too.
no. What I'm saying is like now, if that thing is true, it's already
That him being a
making
plant.
yes, and now his stories are now making you thinking of stopping.
Oh yeah. True.
Maybe it's
Oh,
working.
so it worked. Maybe it worked, bro. True. True. You're right. Maybe the psyop did work. Good job, government. No. But for real though, yeah. Because if they fed him like crazy information, and I'm listening to it like I don't want to know this, like it worked. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Like, let's get off the UFO train.
Hmm.
Fair point. Yeah. Okay. What Stephen Greer is saying too is that they could be, and I'm seeing it too, and I'm like, okay, this could actually be. So one thing that they brought up in the military industrial complex is that if we could invent something otherworldly that we can go to war with, we can create a one world government. Right? Because like us versus them, bro. They're trying to take over. We gotta go to war. So Stephen Greer is saying that they're using Tom DeLonge as a plant because they want to embed in the minds of people that that there's this enemy that's coming that we have to fight against
Okay.
to create a one
Right.
world government.
Right.
Right. And when I listen to these UAP stories like from Jeremy Corbell and like um Tom DeLonge, it does sound like he's creating division. Like even with that, like, oh, they're stealing humans to study our emotion. I'm like, I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like you're already creating division. But what Stephen Greer is saying is that they're enlightened beings that want to help humanity.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'd rather subscribe to Stephen Greer's narrative of like them being nice versus them being enemies. But I'm seeing that it is being slowly painted as an enemy.
Maybe
Even Jeremy Corbell
maybe
said,
both exist. You can't.
"Oh yeah, good, angels and devils, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that is what it is. Yeah, like because everyone says it. It's like if you go to biblical text and you read it, they all talk about space people that come from the sky. God came down from heaven. There's like the chariots of fire.
Right.
Zeus is like,
Yeah.
you know, traveling across. Like everyone's got one. The Anunnaki story from the Sumerians. This is trippy. I didn't read this though. Like I don't know where they're getting this from. Maybe I need to read more Sumerian texts. But so you know, Sumeria is like the oldest civilization on Earth.
Right.
Like it was like this is the oldest one we could date back to. Right. And what their history, Sumerian history, is that the aliens came down and they tampered with monkey DNA and to create us to work for them.
Right.
Right. The Anunnaki is what they're called, like the gods came down, created us. And then what Tom DeLonge was saying is if you look at the animals within the hieroglyphs, like you know, like how it's like half human, half like whatever, and like chimera is like a lion and a tiger, or like a eagle or something, right?
Yeah.
He's saying that is supposedly them testing out different forms of DNA.
Okay.
Like it's like, oh, this didn't work. Oh no, it didn't work. All right, cool. So like that could be it as well. You know, when you talk about like giants and maybe they were just like, oh, messed up on our tampering. Who knows?
Right.
But it's all starting to like click now. Like spirituality and aliens are very much linked, and I didn't even know that because I had been deep diving into like ancient history, and like if you do that, you go to this point of like aliens because we don't know how to explain these things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if that was true, bro? Like, what if the Anunnaki story is true? Like, all of these all of these things are like like hypothesizing about aliens. You know? Yeah, and I think we said it like last week about like the chapter about in the aerial fighters. Like they have a whole chapter on like different aliens. There's like 5 races that we know have been visiting. You will encounter them as you fly out.
Well, okay.
As an aviation pilot. Remember that when I was telling you that? Like this is actually like in their textbook. They read it from the textbook. Like you don't just randomly put chapters in a textbook.
Right.
You know? It's like they knew something and then there was like some weird cover up. I don't know, man. What are you thinking? Like
it kind of seems like it's
a wild story, right?
It's a wild story. It's kind of like all over the place though, right? That's the point of it being all confusing,
we don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, the prompt though being we all agree that they're here. But why are they here? Right? That's more of the prompt. It's like now we're filling in the narratives. And all the narratives are crazy, but it's more like for me the why they're here opens up a whole can of worms that it's like, are you sure you want to know why? Because of all the craziness we said, if it's one of those stories that we said that is crazy, then you're like, oh, maybe I really didn't want to know that. Oh, do you remember? Let's go back to the Congress hearing when David Grush said that they might be interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
Remember, and I was like, and we were both like, what is this? Like, what are you saying, right? And he's like, well,
we matched it to quantum physics, right?
Right. But it's like, I don't know, like I don't know how that makes sense, right? But with the light thing that I brought up earlier with like Tom DeLonge saying about like different frequencies of light, like different time periods, and you can jump within, if you can harness gravity, you can jump within different realities, right? Because like, you know how even at like the molecular level, right? Like gravity is different at a certain point, right? If you go small enough, our math equations don't work because gravity has changed,
Yeah.
right? That's why they can't figure out quantum physics, because the math isn't making sense
It's
at a
not
certain point.
affected. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like affected by gravity or not. It's not affected by gravity, or it's just too small to
Yeah,
have.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that if you can tap into gravity, like as a power source, you could potentially jump through like not even time periods, but like frequencies of life. So what I mean by that is like, you know how a dog can't see color,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
right? But we can see color.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a frequency that the dog can't see, but we can see. There's a reality there that's not visible to the dog. Or for us, bees can see like radio waves. We can't see radio waves.
Right. Yeah.
So if you can use gravity, then you can jump into those different frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
because those are all related to like quantum mathematics.
Right.
They're all like tied to gravity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then another theory is like maybe they're not even, maybe they're literally interdimensional beings, like not even from our physical 3D world.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
just like blipping in and out. Like what Tom was saying, this is crazy, is like the past, like all things in the universe are happening all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're layers on top of one another. We see 3D space, right? A bee sees like more than 3D. A dog sees less than 3D, right?
Sure.
But these are all like different realities layered on top of one another,
Yeah.
right? So maybe they are quite literally in our world, but in a different realm of a different frequency of reality.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what they're saying, the hypothesizing, is like the reason why things picked up after the explosion of the atom bomb. Like they're like, oh, dude, like all the aliens keep coming from like after the explosion of the atom bomb, and then we see that they'll like literally turn off nuclear weapons. Like there's a story in Russia where they flew in, shut off the nuclear weapons, like flew away, right? They're like, why are they tampering with our nuclear weapons? What they theorize too is that the atom bomb, because it lets off an EMP, we don't know what frequency of reality that is also affected. So if they're living in our frequency of reality, like they are literally here right now next to me, but I can't see them.
Right.
But because of the severity of the atom bomb, they're like, what is going on? So they blip into our reality, check out what's going on. And they're like, dude, stop exploding this thing.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
they'll blip out. Right. And that's why when you see these Tic Tacs, it seems like they're disappearing. But they're not disappearing. They're just hopping in and out of our reality.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's true, dude, what's like, are there ghosts around me right now?
Maybe. Yeah. That's
You know-
isn't that what
you know
that?
what I'm
Yeah.
No, right? Quite literally. Like, what is, and then Tom started talking about like how if we are connected to this universal mind, that's how telekinesis happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he said the craziest thing. And I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. So, like, I won't use his example because his example was lewd. So I won't do it. But a similar example is like, you know, when somebody's mad at you and you feel it? You're like, ooh, the energy, the vibe is off.
Yeah.
He said that's telekinesis.
Okay.
It makes sense. Well, it's not that that's telekinesis. Science has called it mirror neurons. So we have literally in our you can read about this, mirror neurons in our prefrontal cortex. I am mirroring the same emotion as you. That's why when I look at you, I can feel how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. So like that is a part of our brains. But there's a next level, Tom's saying, where it's like that's how you can telekinetically interface with other people.
Okay.
If we are connected to this one mind, that actually literally that makes sense. Like I could see the logical jump there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what does that mean if I like voodoo? Like, you know, like voodoo, like sends a bad juju your way. And all of a sudden bad stuff started happening, karma, you know what I mean? These are all interconnected with spirituality. And that's why it's freaking me out because I'm like, I read about all this, and now you're actually putting a logical explanation to it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's like, that's heavy, bro. Because you're like, is it like, is there something that we don't realize we have the control of or the power of?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if we are all connected to the universal mind, like, why can't I work on telekinetically speaking to you?
Mm-hmm.
This all sounds ridiculous, but it logically makes sense. We don't know if any of this is true, but like I could see the logical jumps now. Because when people are like, "Oh, telekinesis," I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how that will work.
Right.
But this makes sense if we're all connected
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to like a universal mind. I don't know. Yeah, what do you think?
I was just thinking of Brainiac. Is that what he was trying to do?
Oh, I don't know.
Connect,
What?
connecting all our minds, or was he just absorbing? I don't
Oh,
remember.
really?
I don't remember now, but something like that. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
don't know that. Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. Actually, you remind. Okay, let's stop this UFO topic now, because you remind me of something. Uh, I was just watching the. Actually, I'll jump to Elon and then I'll jump back to this UFO one because I forgot I wanted to talk about the Mexican body. Um, but we'll jump to Elon. So I was watching. I haven't finished yet, but he was talking to Tucker Carlson. Have you seen that? It came out 2 months ago.
No.
Dude, it's trippy. I can't wait to make some cuts out of it. So basically, what he was saying is Chat GPT. So the founder of Google used to like room with Elon Musk. Okay. And what the founder of Google said is he wants to create a super intelligence. He wants to create an AI super
Oh yeah, yeah.
intelligence.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
Okay. So what Elon was saying is that he created ChatGPT to combat that because that would have been a closed source system.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been controlled only by Google. But he wanted to make it so that everyone can control it. So like ChatGPT, OpenAI, open is open source.
Yeah.
Right. But now it's gotten out of hand. So what he's saying is that the real fear, like he said, I've been a champion of regulation for AI for such a long time. And he's like, a lot of people put me as like, oh, the anti-regulation guy. And he's like, when you deal in space and you deal in like all this other stuff, like cars, for example, different cars around the
Sure.
world, you have to deal with regulators. And he's like, 99.9% of the time, I'm always complying with regulators. It's only that like 0.01% that you hear about. And I
Sure.
make a big kerfuffle, like, oh, I don't want to deal with you, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, most of the time I'm like complying with it. So he's like, I know a lot about regulation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what the interviewer said was, you only create regulation once a problem has happened. Right?
Yeah.
Like somebody
Yeah.
dies,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
create a regulation for it. Right? So what Elon was saying is he wants to create the regulation now because what happens if there's a point of no return? AI gets too powerful and you can't regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was freaking me out last night too. I was like, bro, because he's like, it won't look like Terminator. They're not going to put on robot bodies and like kill us. It's just going to be shaping how we live our life
Sure.
until we just die. Because like he was saying, the reason why he is having so many kids and he's such a proponent of having children is because we see such a steep decline in childbirth. He's like, potentially, like the human race could just die out because we don't want to procreate anymore.
Right.
And that would be the end of us. It would not be like we come to war with AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything just becomes so confusing, so easy. Like, if we have nothing to fight about, we're going to fight about gender. And then we have technology now through AI to like manipulate our genes, right? We have like these youth who are like castrating themselves at a very young age. Like, you know what I mean? But like, could this be AI driven? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're seeing your algorithm, you're like, oh, well, everyone's
Right. I see what you
everyone's
mean. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's what he's scared of. And I was like, oh, dude, I could see that too. That actually makes total sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
Could AI be killing us through our belief system?
Right.
Do you see that new thing where it's like, I keep sending it around because it's so funny. It's like dogs are the new children and
Oh yeah,
plants
yeah,
are
I've
the
heard
new
that.
pets, right?
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah,
the
yeah. Okay,
meme
okay, okay. I didn't see the
is a
plant
meme.
thing. Okay, okay.
Okay, so dogs are the new children and plants are the new pets. Children, traditional children, are for the rich and the elite.
Hmm.
And I was like, that actually makes sense. And that was just fed to me by my AI. I'm reinforcing that belief system because I'm seeing it over and over through
Sure.
my AI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're programming me through an algorithm, and then the human race dies off because nobody wants to procreate.
Right.
It's the easiest way for AI to win,
Hmm.
right? Because AI has no lifetime.
Right.
It's not like 100-year span, it'll die like us. AI is just like, yeah, I just gotta wait 200 years. Cool. I'll just wait 200 years.
Hmm.
You know? I don't know what you think about that.
Uh,
Like
yeah,
you could
those are.
see the potential for AI,
Yeah, yeah. I get the reasoning. Yeah, for why they want or why he wants to do the regulations now. Yeah.
right? So now we have aliens, we have interdimensional realities, we have AI, so many things attacking us. It's like, what is going on?
Hmm.
I feel like we're heading to this zone of like, this is cool. He called it I didn't even realize that that's what that meant, but like, he's like, we're heading towards a singularity. And a singularity is basically a black hole. Black hole, they call it a singularity or a black hole because you don't know what's beyond the black hole.
Right.
You can't, we can't send
Yeah,
things
yeah,
into a
yeah,
black
yeah, yeah.
hole. You don't know, right? Because the gravity is so strong. So like this is our singularity event. This is our black hole. We don't know where the future will lead. And I feel like we're about to hit that actually. Like with the disclosure of UAPs, with AI, with declining birth rates. What he said was in Japan, and they're a leading indicator, um, there's more suicides than there were births
Yeah, yeah.
last year. So it's like, okay, are we literally just going to, like a candle just being blown out? Like no battle, there's no fight. It's just you just died because
Right.
AI made you believe a certain thing.
Hmm.
Thoughts?
Uh, sure. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think it's going to get everyone, right? I don't think it's going to like it'll eviscerate the human race, but not end human
It
race.
won't like it won't stomp us out.
Yeah.
Like there'll still be like some Adam and Eve kind of
Sure.
thing, like a small subsect. But like right now we've controlled most of the earth, right?
Hmm.
But now it's like, are we just gonna pull back from that now? Like we won't have our complete dominance anymore? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like, or maybe we hit this point where we merge with AI and then we become like cyborgs.
That's also possible. I think that's more likely.
Yeah.
Well, that's also what he's doing Neuralink, right? Isn't that where we're going to go
Yeah,
with that?
totally. Yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah, totally.
so there's a way.
The world is trippy. Okay, what do you think about
Well,
the
there's a
UFO
lot of
Mexican alien?
there's a lot of other questions about like there's sure AI or not having kids, but I think it's also like there is a lot of issues with having kids or like isn't that like
What do
there's
you
a
mean, like
not like childbirth like
payment?
getting yeah the whole process of that affects your like for the women's side that affects their career timeline and things like that, right? So it's like maybe like these are other factors that are also potentially the
Oh,
reasons,
it's not just AI. No, 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 for sure. No,
right?
no, for sure, for sure, for sure.
That's why there's
Um,
like I know well I think we saw that somewhere but like they're probably creating uh like a different thing
oh my
that
God. Yeah, no, I know what you're about to say. They created the embryo in the lab. Is that
not
what you're talking about?
no like they're
Oh,
making well it'll be something like that but it'll making like a
it
womb
just came out.
to
No, that just came out. They
oh
just
yeah
said
yeah
that
yeah
they
yeah.
created an embryo
So like
in the
if
lab. I was like,
yeah so like
what?
if that becomes a legitimate thing does that then
Oh
allow
my
people
God.
to have kids in a way that it's like you can now control it you can they won't have problems like you can fine tune it.
Oh my God. So we're splicing. We're like creating
Yeah
like
bro maybe
designer
yeah
babies.
sure It'll eventually get to that point,
Wait
maybe.
a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. If there is, okay, so Joe Rogan brought this up. I was like, that actually makes sense. So, like, what if the natural rate of evolution for any species is they create technology? At some point, technology will become smart. Hold on, I gotta make sure because Tara's coming home, so I just gotta
Yeah.
cut it soon. But what if technology is the natural progression of any species? You'll create technology to make life easier. Boom, boom, boom,
Sure.
boom, boom. So like, at some point, you will create technology. So what if on a distant planet, they're thousands of years ahead of us, and they've already gone through designer babies, and everything's perfect? What is the last thing you have to evolve? Your consciousness,
Right.
right? This is the last thing. Like, if everything's perfect, it's like, well, what do you want to do? You want to create some art? What does it mean to meditate? What can I do with my mind? And that is Stephen Greer's theory. So he believes that the aliens are these highly evolved beings where they don't have to worry about energy because they've tapped into gravity. They don't have to worry about food because, like, if you have infinite energy, you can create infinite food. So all they're doing is just creating, like, no, fine tuning their conscious capabilities. And that's why telepathy works for them.
Right.
Because they have nothing, like, it's sort of like us when we invented agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, human beings, we would spend all of our time hunting and gathering.
Yeah.
But then when you create agriculture, it's like, okay, now I have time to think. But then if you solve the problem to a point where it's like, I have everything I need, now I have time to just evolve spiritually. And that's why his CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, is a meditation app because it allows you to contact the aliens to come and
Right.
speak with you. Remember that? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it sounded ridiculous. But now that we're talking about it, it's like, actually, I could see how that could logically progress in that manner. Because if we had everything provided to us, what else are you going to do except create art and, like, evolve spiritually?
Yeah, I think we talked about that before, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know
Right?
if that'll probably be for some
Or
people.
die off.
Yeah, that's also
Or die
possible.
off, right? Like, just,
Yeah.
like, become like a zombie, you know? But, like, that's one thing we haven't explored. What is consciousness? Like, what can we do with our consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think about? I'm just gonna, like, slowly wrap this up. What do you think about the Mexican UFO body?
I think that there was a lot of issues with the guy. I think that's what I heard. Well,
That's
issues
what
in
I
the
heard too.
sense of, like, he's brought up things like this before and they've been debunked.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard that too. But the only thing for me now is, like, now it's starting to get more and more exposure. So it's not, even if it's not real, it's like, okay, more people are going to come out. More people are going to come out.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we're hitting, like, this point of, like, more and more disclosure.
But what do you know about it, or what did he say about it? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, nothing. No, it just literally came out on September 12th, this past Tuesday.
Or like, what did he say about what they are?
Who? The Joe Rogan?
Oh no. All about
The
the
Mexican?
Mexican thing.
That's just alien bodies that have been found in Peru and they've been mummified.
Right. It
They're
was like
found in, like, a cavern.
700 like to 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
That's his claim.
Carbon dated. But I mean, okay, so Peru is the epicenter for spirituality. Like, that's where you go for, like, ayahuasca trips, and, like, that's where, like, Cusco is where he said, right? Cusco, Peru. And
Okay.
I've been to Cusco, and that's where Machu Picchu is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they studied the stars. Like, if you go to Machu Picchu, like, the whole thing is a star analyzer, right? It's like
Right.
they were really into space, right? So, like, there's a fact that's not even, like, fiction.
Yeah.
Like, they were astronomers in Machu Picchu. That
Sure.
was a big thing. That's why it was so high up too. So it's like, were aliens visiting Machu Picchu? And one of these aliens ended up being stuck in a mine,
Mm-hmm.
and then thousands of years or 1,000 years later, we found it. Like, it actually, that, like, I thought it was found in Mexico, and I was like, that's kind of weird. But then when I saw the thing, it was like, it's found in Cusco, Peru. I was like, that actually kind of lines up
Right.
with
Sure.
Machu Picchu. See, spirituality and, like, ancient civilizations, they all lead back to some sort of alien thing. which is why I'm like, oh, maybe I went down the wrong rabbit hole. I thought I was just studying yoga and martial arts. Now it's like, actually, you were studying alien stuff the whole time.
Right.
You're like, oh, dude, bro, it's trippy. Yeah, okay, so I guess we'll never know.
Well, I think we'll know
Neil,
if he sends it out to other labs to
yeah,
test.
so Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know.
I don't know if he's going to do that. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, maybe like, oh, we're debunked. Okay, to talk about AI. Okay, one more thing, and then we'll talk about the iPhone 15. So I finished Day After Roswell, and remember how I said Christopher Nolan added so many rabbit holes?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so from the Oppenheimer movie, I read the JFK book. Okay, from the JFK book, a lot of people were saying it's connected to UFOs, so I read the Day After Roswell. Didn't know it had anything to do about JFK. They mentioned JFK in this book and how he was starting to be like suspicious of the CIA's information that they were providing to him.
Mm-hmm.
And they said like years later he would find out the truth, like the horrible reality of it, because he got killed, right? So they're bringing in the JFK assassination to this UFO thing.
Right.
Okay, so I'm like, Christopher Nolan, you know some stuff that. Actually, wait, this is kind of interesting. Tara was like, when I sent her the alien video, she's like, oh, that looks just like E.T. And I'm like, yeah, Steven Spielberg allegedly is super into aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the E.T. movie was based off of things he like read from reports.
Right.
He just turned it into a movie.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah,
right.
People were making that connection to E.T. That he just looked like to E.T. alien. Yeah.
And it makes sense because it's like, yeah, bro, because Steven Spielberg is really deep in aliens, bro. Like if you look at why he created E.T. the movie, is that, which is interesting because Tom DeLonge's movie. So the reason why they wanted to get Tom DeLonge is because they were like, if we can get this celebrity to make it easier for people to digest, then we can. He even talked about it on the podcast. He's like, first we tell them UAPs are a thing. Be like, oh, dude, that's crazy. And then you get used to it. Like, okay, UAPs are a thing. Okay, yeah, they're actually from, they're not from outer space. Oh, dude, what? But we knew that they're UAPs, though. Okay, cool. All right, they're not from outer space. And he's like, we slowly integrate it, and they're like, they're actually interdimensional beings. You're like, wait, what? But then you explain, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a slow rollout, and that's why they want Tom DeLonge to like use his media. Media outlets in order to get this out to the public, like slowly medicine drip them, like get used to like, okay, UAPs are real. All right, cool. Next step, like they're not from this planet. Okay, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because his movie's coming out October 6th. I was waiting for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, and his movie is so basically what he said to people who are like, people who watch it are like, oh, it's cool. It's a Tom DeLonge movie. Blink-182. I love that guy. But what he said is that he put all the truth into this movie, but he's presenting it like a comedy. But it's like, it's so people can slowly accept the idea of aliens.
Right.
Yeah. And I was watching the, after you talked about angels and demons and stuff, I saw one of the clips in the trailer is like pictures of angels and demons. I'm like, are you going to admit to us that, you know, like these are not actually angels and demons, it's actually aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that what you're going to put in the movie? But then you make it jokey, like it's a comedy. So you're like, oh, okay, it's not real.
Right.
It's like, but it is real. All right, anyways. So back to the Day After Roswell. They theorize in that book, the whole thing was interesting because they attribute night vision goggles, silicone chips, lasers, bulletproof vests, and fiber optic cables to back engineering of crafts. So they realized that the aliens could see in the dark, so they need a way to figure out how to do that. So they created night vision goggles. It's like you see something and you're like, how do I make that? And then they just made it. Right? And then silicone chips, same thing. Lasers, same thing. Bulletproof vests, I thought this was interesting. They noticed that when they're uncovering the bodies of the aliens, they're wearing these suits. And then so when they started to take apart the suit, they're like, oh, it's like a enmeshed fiber. And as they study it, they're like, wait, we could probably make some sort of bulletproof armor if we use enmeshed fiber. So that's what bulletproof is. It's just like meshing so that when it hits the bullet, it just doesn't break the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's how a bulletproof vest works. It's like the meshing is so compact that when you shoot a bullet at it, it doesn't tear through the thing and it just slows it down on impact.
Right.
So theoretically, they came up with that idea from the spacesuits of the aliens. I'm just saying, bro, that like, if this book is true, this is a crazy book, and it actually makes sense as to like where we came up with the idea. Because there was an explosion of technology. Remember, how
Yeah.
do we get from like 100 years of evolution
Mm-hmm.
and or 100 years of time, and we like the advancement made in this last 100 years eclipses what we did for thousands of years.
Yep.
Like, how can we move so quickly? Oh, because of alien technology. We were inspired by alien technology that we recovered.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Do you agree, or like you could see how that logical?
Yeah, it
'Cause,
could
like,
make
how could we
sense.
have
Yeah,
evolved
sure, it
so-
could make sense if that's true. There's other scenarios of that information much more easier to gather.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, you're right. There's just one of those hypotheses.
Sure.
Okay. Last thing, and this is the title of the podcast, because you don't want to freak out too many people about like aliens. People are like, what? To make it simple for people to enter.
Sure.
So I feel like we're hitting a point of. Actually, let me ask you first. You think we should call it iPhone 15, or like we should make it about aliens?
It depends
Because the
on.
last podcast where I wrote like it's obviously aliens, and then that got like 800 views. I was like, oh, dude.
I think that's where you use Google Trends to find out what's going on.
Or is it the Mexican alien body? That's what you call this one.
That's probably the
Oh,
thing
maybe,
that's happening
actually.
this week. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Fine. You think? All right, we're gonna decide on the podcast right here: iPhone 15 or Mexican alien body.
I think the Mexican alien thing has much more
Damn, all
of an
right, Vish.
attraction
All
right now.
We're going deep. All right, fine. So have you made it this far in the podcast? You figured out why we switched it from iPhone 15 to Mexican alien bodies. Okay, what do you think about the iPhone 15? I feel like we're hitting the point now, like plateauing. What do you think?
Yeah, it was just what did I say? Not rudimentary. It's just incremental stuff.
Right? It's like, oh, I like I.
I'm
you're
just
like they're
I'm just
positioning
waiting
it as,
on.
like,
What? Say that again. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
they're
Positioning it.
positioning it as like a as like a gaming thing now. That's all I'm getting. It's like you could play video games on this thing. I'm like, bro, what? I just play video games on a other thing. Like they're like the
Actually, I
the
was.
seed.
I don't think that Apple was saying that, or Apple was showing that, but I think that was someone else's post. But I was pretty impressed. But I was like,
Yeah, somebody
when I
else's
actually
post,
saw, yeah, when I actually saw, because I watched the keynote, and when they showed like, oh, I didn't know you could have this game on here. I think that's kind of surprising.
Okay, surprising or worth buying? Surprising, sure. Worth buying? I don't know.
If again, it's like, are you into that gaming world? If you're looking for
Right.
something, I think that's kind of would make sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do mobile gaming, so to be able to have access to now these bigger scale games, I think that's kind of interesting. That's pretty interesting, I think.
You don't think that you would just switch to like the PlayStation Mobile or
No,
the
then they would have already done
Switch?
so, right? I think mobile gaming is much
Switch?
more bigger than actually console gaming. Like, it's huge.
Okay, so the biggest development from the 14 to 15 is that they're shifting target audiences from regular consumers to mobile
I don't think
gamers?
so. I think that this is like I didn't expect that. I was like, oh, I know this game is on PlayStation. To have it on an iPhone, like, I get it.
Yeah, but like who's gonna play an iPhone? But who's gonna play an iPhone game? Like, really? Because you need the controller. Like, what are you gonna do? Out here?
Sure, yeah. I don't know where they're getting their, like, what numbers that they have, right? Or how many people are actually playing these kinds of games, what particular types of games and stuff like that. So they have all that information. So
Right. Okay. But like, are you gonna switch your phone?
me, I don't know, not yet.
That's what I mean. So it's like,
Well, I already have a PlayStation, but again, I'm not really much of
that's what I mean.
a mobile gamer.
But that's
too,
what I
though.
mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's like, yeah, this is a cool positioning, but like, as a phone, it's sort of like when you told me you're like, oh, well, the pictures are getting better. I'm like, yeah, but there's a point where I'm just gonna buy an actual camera. You know, like no pro photographer is going to use an iPhone.
I think again,
Right, because
I
there's
think
more
even
settings.
yeah, but even when we talk about that, I feel like more. It depends on how much the camera can do, to the point where if they need to use a big bulky camera or just have a small camera, depends on
No,
what
no,
you're using it for.
but there's no, but it's impossible. Like as a photographer
No.
myself
I get
and a
that. I get that.
videographer,
No. I understand that. But I mean, like that's to the point where a person becomes to that level of pro, right?
right? No, but it's not pro. It's like even if you're an amateur, so like it's like you're never going to, because like when you say pro, it's like no, there's like pro photographer, there's amateur photographer, but photographer period, we'll just say photographer, you need a camera because there's like aperture, f-stop,
Sure.
feeds,
Yeah,
like
yeah. No, I
so many
understand that. I
things you
understand that.
adjust,
But
right?
like
You can't do an iPhone.
I get that. I get that. But we know, like,
I will
as
never call you a photographer if you have an iPhone. I'm like, you're not a photographer.
no. I
You
know
just
that. I know
take
that.
an iPhone.
But all that's what's happened to the camera industry is they've declined because an iPhone has taken over or phones taken over.
No. As a um as a mass market tool,
Yeah.
right? Sure, but like as a photographer, like somebody who does that thing, like you're not, you can never enter that realm. There's going to be a point where you're just like, let me just get an
Sure.
actual camera
Yeah.
if you want to take photos. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, sure. Like on my trip, snap. I don't need to buy a point and shoot. Totally. But like the industry of photography itself, it's like you can't use an iPhone.
Mhm.
Right? So I liken that to video games. It's like, yeah, you could play video games on your phone, but like to be a real gamer, you probably need a console. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that'll always be the case. Like a hardcore gamer, you need to have
That's
this
what I
or
mean.
a PC or
Right.
whatever. Sure.
They're making things accessible,
Yeah.
but like sure they're accessible, but is that enough of a sell? So I was using the 11 Pro, and then I got the 14 Pro, and then I was like, okay, cool, this is a good jump. Like I use my phone a lot, you know, I post a lot of things on Instagram, whatever. And then I gave my mom my 11 Pro. My sister, dad, and mom now have the 11 Pro, and they're like, should we upgrade? I'm like, no, like you don't need to.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with it? See what I'm saying? And then even Roll, shout out Roll, because I know you're gonna listen to this. We were talking, and he's like, I was like, oh, you're gonna make the jump to iPhone. He's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna get the newest one. I'm gonna get one of the older ones that are like cheaper and free. And I was like, yeah, you really just don't need anything past 11 Pro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like as a right, you're gonna use a phone. You're gonna use it for social media. You're gonna text your friends.
That's really what
Like,
a lot of people do anyway. So
see what I mean? And it's like, so why do I need this 15? Like, I feel like we're hitting the point of like diminishing returns. You've plateaued. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna have to end. Tara's come back now. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we've fully plateaued in terms of the iPhone tech. Like, I didn't see anything that was like, oh, dude, I gotta upgrade. You know? Do you? You didn't. You were like, I wouldn't upgrade.
no.
You know? So I feel like we're now seeing the finish line for phones. Like Apple can't possibly get any better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you'll get rid of the island. Okay.
But I think that's eventual, but it's not yet there.
But you know what I'm saying? Like the things that they're promoting, like, oh, now it uses USB-C instead of Lightning to charge. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but you have to also know why that also happened, or would it have happened?
No, because of the regulation. Yeah,
regulations in Europe. Yeah, so like I knew that was
Yeah.
coming anyways. So it's like that's
totally
expected.
exactly. Yeah. So, you know, like finish line, we're done. Move on to something else, Apple.
Well, that's
Do you
spatial.
agree or no?
Well, that's the whole point. I think their next thing is the Vision Pro.
The AR. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
and there was like
So look
something
for it,
in the, I believe in the new one. I'm sure it was just software.
yeah, it's connected to the.
You can film
spatial,
in you can film it in that and then view that 3D video. So I see they're slowly like making
but it's
people
like
building into that
who,
ecosystem.
but who bought it, bro? Who bought the Vision Pro?
But it's not a,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Right.
oh, all right, fair. But like, who's going to buy? Which regular person can buy a Vision Pro? Thousands of dollars. What am I use it for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, just some thoughts. All right, I gotta jump. Till next time, Tasty Fish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors: Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Fish.
Peace.